informed that the webinar is being recorded. And if you have any questions to any of the speakers, I request you to put your questions in the chat section for today. Thank you. As we have many participants who are not a member of BPW, I'd like to give you a short introduction of BPW International and BPW Nepal. The International Federation of Business and Professional Women, as the name itself says, is an international network of business and professional women with affiliates in over 100 countries in 5 continents. Uniting business and professional women in all parts of the world, BPW aims to work for the women's economic independence, equal opportunity, and representation in economic, civil, and political life. The root of BPW's advocacy is embedded in the work of the United Nations, as it has had its consultative status with the United Nations through the Economic and Social Council since 1947. Business and Professional Women Nepal is an independent, non-profit, voluntary, non-governmental organization of working women from different professions and businesses. With the main goal of socioeconomic empowerment of women and inclusive, BPW Nepal has a vision to see women from any background are socio-economically empowered. BPW International was founded on 26 August 1930, and this month marks the 90th anniversary of the BPW International.
Hello, everyone. Well, this is me, Dela Prasaif, young BPW from Nepal. Well, I feel so honored to welcome you all on the occasion of the 90th month anniversary celebration of BPW International. We are commemorating our founder, Lina Madison Phillips, who united the women across the globe and established BPW as a network to connect the women of all businesses and professions. We are also commemorating our beloved BPW sisters for the efforts to flourish the organization and year. As the pandemic has hit all of us and limited us socially, we are connected by our aspiration to build the equal and equitable world. And proceeding the program, I now would like to request our Honorable BPW Nepal's President, Ms. Ambika Shrestha, to chair this session and light the candle in memories of our BPW sisters. I request Ms. Ambika Shrestha, President of BPW Nepal, to chair this session and also to light the candle. Hello.
Ma'am, we can't hear you. I think you'll have to unmute yourself.
By somebody, yeah, okay. Here I have just lit the candle for all of us. So here we are for the 90th birthday and 90th year, 90 years of our organization, the birth of our organization. And I would like to say to my sisters around the world, today is the 30th day of the month, and we've been celebrating it all month. We have still one more day to celebrate the 90th year. We can celebrate the whole year, but for the month, it's the last 2 days. And what I would like to say is, let us light the candle, first for the confidence, determination, strength to face all situations and to forge ahead. Let us not forget the dream of our founder, Dr. Lina Madison, and work with understanding and solidarity. And also, as we light the candle, I would like to remember all those who have been affected with this COVID-19 and all those who have passed away and all those who are suffering. I would like to light the lamp, light the light to give them and pray for them. I hope we all send good vibes to all of them so that everybody keeps safe and all be well. Thank you. Thank you, Della.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Can you request all our BPW artists candle lighting ceremony?
With this, let us all remember, let us go back to history and all remember our founder, Dr. Lena Madison Phillips. Just let us just remember, and I'll be sharing a short story or short, information or part of history. So Dr. Lena Madison Phillips was a feminist of early 20th century who believed that the women were capable of creating international understanding and cooperation. In 1919, Dr. Lena Madison Phillips founded National Federation of Business and Professional Women's Club in United States, as she sensed the power that could be generated by the movement to organize all women who had a business or a profession. As the president of the National Federation of the Business and Professional Women's Club of the United States of America, she organized several goodwill tours to Europe in late 1920s. So hundreds of American women participated in these tours with the purpose of meeting business and professional women in Europe and promoting affiliation with them, inspiring to give their all for the same cause, to make soundings for the International Federation. Finally, the International Federation of Business and Professional Women, IFBPW, was founded in Geneva, Switzerland on 26 August 1930. With the initiative of our founder, Dr. Lena Madison Phillips. She was elected as the first IFBPW president and served until 1947. Today, IFBPW is one of the most influential international networks working for the women empowerment, which develops the business, professional, and leadership potential of the women on all levels through advocacy, education, mentoring, networking, skill building, and economic empowerment programs. In Nepal, Business and Professional Women Club, BPWC, was founded on 1972 with the initiation of our president of the organization, Ms. Ambika Shrestha. It was first generated as BPWC in the government in the year 1975, and with the establishment of its chapters, it was re-registered as the Federation of the Business and Professional Women Nepal, or BPW Nepal, in 1991. It has been a member of the International Federation of Business and Professional Women since 1985 and is also affiliated with the Social Welfare Council of Nepal.
No, let the thing speak.
Well, as I said earlier, today we are so honored that our international president of the Federation BPW, Dr. Mann, is attending this celebration with us. And being the business a woman and a doctor, Dr. Amani Hector, she has set an example for the future generation that solidarity in good work is the signal of community and self-success, and empowering others is to empowering oneself. Well, Dr. Mani is the president of International Federation of Business and Professional Women. Dr. Mani is as the president of International Federation of Business and Professional Women since 2017 Egypt Congress. Her academic career belongs to medical science. Mani graduated from Faculty of Medicine from Cairo University and completed a master's degree in pediatrics. She also served as a lecturer of pediatrics at the National Research Center of Egypt. Besides, she also holds various titles, including the president of Egyptian Business Women Association, president of Organization of Women in Trade, president of African Alliance for Women Empowerment, president of Afro-Arab Network for Women Empowerment, chairperson of Federation of Business Women Associations, chairperson of Federation of Business Women Association of Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, vice chairperson of Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa. And she is the founder of Hatshepsut Women Business Development Center and the Business Incubator for Entrepreneurs. And she is also the chairperson of Human Resource Science and Technology of the OECOSOC and president of Mediterranean Congress for Business and Professional Women. And she is the Secretary General of African Society for Scientific Research and Technology. And similarly, we are honored that Ms. Chandni Joshi, Gender, Right and Policy Specialist, is with us today. Ms. Joshi is the former Regional Director at UNIFEM South. Ms. Chandni is well reputed in the sector and macro policies in Nepal and other South Asian countries. She is an inspiration for young women to strive for a world of equal opportunities, equal choices, and equal recognition of work of both women and men. Ms. Joshi has 26 years of experience in national civil service, 18 years in international civil service, and 12 years in freelancing. She has multifaceted and multidimensional development experience. Currently, she is the enforcer of HomeNet South Asia, which advocates the rights of the invisible women-based workers in the informal sector of the South Asia region. And at present, Ms. Joshi is engaged as coordinator of Women's Think Tank, Ministry of Children and Senior Citizens Nepal 2017 till present. Chair of Women Friendly Disaster Management Group 2015 till present, chairperson of Bal Suraksha, Safety of Children's Rights Nepal 2019 till present, member of the Regional PSC Committee of Empower Asia Pacific Region UN Women 2018 till present, member of the Advisory Council Institute for Integrated Development Studies, advisor to the Beijing Plus process by NNBN 2018 till present, Vice Chair Forum of Former International Professionals of Multilateral Organizations 2016 to 19, Advisor Forum of Former International Professionals of Multilateral Organizations 2019 till present, Senator and past National President of Nepal Advisory Group, UN Women Nepal, 2011 to 19, Patron Sabha Nepal, Patron Share Nepal, Honorary Member of Pauraki Didi Baini, Advisor at Bees Networks in South Asia, and Advisor at TEWA.
Thank you. Now I think we should talk.
Yes, that was a short introduction of our speakers for the day. So moving forward, let us have a brief introduction about the topic. Just in 2 lines, we all talk about sustainable development goals, but for a better understanding, we have to know what sustainability is. And now when we talk about sustainability, there are many viewpoints on this concept and how it can be achieved. To make it simple, if we break the word, we get the word sustain, which means to give support to or to hold up. So in simple words, sustainability is the ability of being continued at certain level. In my understanding, sustainability means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability for the future generation. Sustainable Development Goals are the blueprints to achieve better and more sustainable future for all, addressing the global challenges we face, including those related to poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and justice. It is a universal call to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity. Today, we are having a discussion on how women's role is pivotal in achieving sustainable role and how we can empower women around us to achieve these goals. In 2015, during the General Assembly of the United Nations, adopted the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development Goals. Building on the principle leaving no one behind, it emphasizes on a holistic approach to achieve sustainable development for all. There are 7 SDGs and adding one more goal of BPW Sustainability to those 17 goals. BPW International has undertaken empowering women to realize sustainable development goals as its major theme.
Or Federation of Business and Professional Women, Dr. Amania Spor, to address this webinar.
Thank you very much. I am so honored to be here with you, and thank you, Ambika, because when we talk about starting to organize webinars with BPW International hosted by the BPW affiliates, you are the first one who showed interest to start the first webinar in our series of webinars of BPW International, and with the opening of empowering women to realize the sustainable development goals. So during this series of webinars, we will be addressing the SDGs and the advocacy pillars with all the BPW affiliates who have experience with those advocacy pillars. So I'm happy that BPW Nepal is the first to address our theme, empowering women to realize the sustainable development goals. Thank you, President Ambika, for always driving the agenda for women empowerment. And I would like to greet all my sisters present here within this great webinar, the first of our official webinars of BPW International to promote the SDGs and our advocacy pillars. So as you all know that we as BPW International, our theme is empowering women to realize the SDGs is very important, which really about how we address our SDGs and our advocacy pillars. Can I ask for sharing the screen? Yeah, I can share my screen. Can you see the screen share? You can see it? Okay, great. Okay, great. So I just want to go over with you about, this is the very important publication, because this publication is the first in the history of BPW International to compile all the projects and activities of BPW International. It has never happened in the whole history of, and that's why I'm so happy that within 90th anniversary of BPW International, we have this great publication that can be showed to all our partners, our stakeholders, our business and professional women to share experience. It is about BPW International projects contributing to the global agenda and to BPW International sustainability. So we are all proud that within this, all of your activities and projects that we receive have already embedded in this publication. It's a huge publication that you can address to all your stakeholders, your funders. As you can see, it is also based on the BPW International advocacy pillars that I have been putting together with reference to advocacy pillars to economic empowerment of women, which is women entrepreneurship, women trade and access to market, women on board, women financial inclusion, women equal pay, women in STEM education, women in digital economy, ICT and innovation, women empowerment principles, very important webs, because at that point I would like to tell you that we congratulate all of us because now BPW International is an official signatory of the new branding of WEBs, and tomorrow we will be addressing a webinar with the UN Women after signatory with UN Women about the WEBs. Government and corporate procurement policy, which is very important because people have understand that within government procurement policy, 15 trillion of all the government procurement goes only 1% to women. So it's a very important to work on it, or together with corporate procurement policy. And other sectorial advocacy pillars like women agriculture and agribusiness, environment and climate change, water and sanitation, energy and green economy, health and well-being, and also special advocacy pillars like preventing violence against women, prevention of child marriage, empowering women in rural area, empowering women minorities, empowering women with special needs, and women migrants. So within all those advocacy pillars, we also can see that our initiative with partners, this is the WEB's Women Empowerment Principles, and I believe many of us have worked on it. Tomorrow also in the second webinar of BPW International, today is the opening of all the webinars, of the official webinars. Tomorrow we will find more the new branding. You will hear from UN Women about the new branding of UN Women with the 7 goals about the WEBs. Women in trade and access to market, we also global she trades that we have been partnering with, and it is very important also that many of our members that are having their business would file their registration with the ITC, with the global she trades that we have been already attending. Government and corporate procurement policy, as I told you, this is also a new area of opportunity for economic empowerment of women, because now, for instance, I give you the experience of Africa. As I have been lobbying with Africa, BPW Egypt is a member of the Business Council for Common Market for Eastern Southern Africa, COMESA. I have been addressing the heads of states through this platform, and President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, has already made 30% of all government procurement goes to SMEs, women, youth, and people with disabilities. But also I have achieved, thank God, that's a very great success during the Summit of African Union, which is 55 member states of Africa. I have been also lobbying the President of South Africa, who is currently the chair for the African Union, and now he has, in the acceptance speech of African Union, he said that all member states, which is 55 countries of Africa, will adopt at least 30% of government procurement. So all countries of Africa will have to have this special 30% from all the government tenders goes to SMEs. Last week alone in South Africa, he implemented 40%. So now 40% of all the government tenders goes to women SMEs. Huge success for us as women, business and professional women from Africa that we have been advocated for. And this sharing experience with all of us, because this will be huge if all of us work on the government procurement with reference to our advocacy pillars. Of course, Equal Pay Day has been a huge initiative for all of us. Many of us are already working on it. So if we really trace the SDGs with no poverty first, we will see that we have a lot that have been doing. Pakistan has been doing construction of 77 houses. PPW Rizal Philippines is doing a project Gold for Girls. Thailand has been doing Give a Better Second Chance for Women. In Europe, we have Tbilisi, Donation for Children in Need. This is all under the SDG number 1, which is no poverty. Spain have objective inclusion to encourage entrepreneurship for women. North America, they have a project, I Can Do It too, and also project Cover Me with San Martin, with a shelter for women against for poverty. Zero hunger, we have seen that Sudan has been doing with food security and empowering women agriculture. We have seen also that Madagascar have also a plan for agriculture to produce 75 tons of black pepper in 2 successive years, which is the training of women, how they train the women. We can see that BPW Egypt has also a project for empowering women agriculture, agribusiness, and dried tomato in the south of Egypt. Asia Pacific, the Pakistan regular supply of food for the poor, and also the Brazil cultivation of best of these projects. SDG number 3, which is good health and well-being, and this is very important because right now in the COVID crisis, also BPW International have already issued a publication, which is the first in its kind in the world, in order to see the responses of BPW International during COVID. So these are the good health and well-being project that is happening all the year, which is reference to medical center from Pakistan, series of workshops all focused on body and mind soul for Singapore, BPW Makati, One Best Self, Return to School project by BPW Manila, and also with reference to Belgium, Eco Hero Day, Cyprus, cervical cancer prevention awareness. Latin America with still Brazil, donation to life, North America and the Caribbean with BPW having a nursery. In Africa, we have in Nigeria, we have already for children donating and giving for the health awareness. In Tanzania, empowering girls in schools through sanitary pads. In Senegal, health awareness campaigns against cancer. So you see all these projects, and now it's quality education. BPW International under SDG number 4 is promoting STEM education, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In Pakistan, in Karachi, they have already made 3 schools. I have been honored and blessed to visit the whole the schools that has been done in Pakistan. In Singapore, they are fundraising for scholars to be awarded for ladies to have their diploma, and also mentoring for successful board. In Europe, BPW Istanbul have done a leadership school. In Austria, they have mentoring and project academic. And also in Tbilisi, Georgia, they have a forum for women in business. And also regional entrepreneurs are sponsored for training in Spain. Project a training program to equip young men in a low-income neighborhood. In Jamaica, also an education project by funding needy female students through high school. In Italy, where they have had, these are young girls who have been in visits by BPW Italy to physics labs, and also through BPW Danube Network, they have already done several seminars on STEM education. Number 5, which is SDG gender equality, is our huge agenda of gender equality. We have seen here empowering young women in Tanzania, where they have been distributing sanitary pads for the girls to go to school. In Italy, they have a project for prevention of child marriage. In Asia Pacific, in Pakistan, they have already also a lot of civil services open to women and to to encourage and help working women. They have already established hostels. In Makati, women winning in challenge times, and in Japan, they have already campaigning advocating for equal pay day, and they have webs for the advancement of women. They have BPW Hong Kong mentorship program and women in the workplace. In Europe, in Sweden, they already have mentorship and capacity for career, financial inclusion. In France, they are leading the Women on Board task force and making entrepreneurship. In Istanbul, they also have a symposium for women leaders making difference in civil society and also having mentoring. In Tbilisi, they have women in business. That's all under the SDG number 5, which is really about gender equality. In Athens, they have a project, Let's Start Up, provide visibility to young girls to boost them to start their own business. In Spain, they had a conference for networking and engaging for women entrepreneurs. In Germany, they are already leading in Germany the equal pay, and they have already gained the realization of gender equality like it is guaranteed in the Constitution. In Malta, higher female representation to provide preparedness and create higher visibility to women in politics. Also, Malta is leading women entrepreneurship. North America and the Caribbean with BPW Canada having an anti-human trafficking and violence against women awareness and women on board. Barbados have a shelter providing a safe space for women. In Africa, young BPW in Burkina Faso, they have training, mentoring, and awareness and seminars. Sierra Leone, they have participation in women entrepreneurship in tourism. Entrepreneurship is a huge advocacy pillar for BPW International. So you can see that also in Egypt, they have been doing women entrepreneurship days and going to the young girls in the universities and in schools and make awareness for entrepreneurship. In Egypt part also, they have a business development center and business incubator called Hatshepsut Women Business Development Center, training the young women how to start this business, how to work, how to register their company, how to write a business plan, and they have already graduated, they already trained 650 young entrepreneurs per year. Women in board in Sierra Leone. Equal Pay Day is a huge agenda for all our BPW across the whole world. You see here in Czech Republic, in Germany, in Spain, in Austria, in Switzerland, in Belgium. It is a huge agenda in France, in Switzerland. I know also many in the Asia Pacific are working on the Equal Pay Day. So clean water and sanitation is also SDG number 6. So in Pakistan, every woman had to go to the riverside, washing, bathing. So they are making some hygienic program and making access to clean water for drinking, cooking, and washing. And through they have provided a house for all the women, for many women household. Latin America also, in Brazil, they have created the ambassador for water, and maybe Margarita can also tell us more about this program. SDG number 7, affordable and clean energy. We have seen also that Pakistan have made a village, which I was blessed also to visit when I was in Pakistan, to have solar energy panels on each house. In Europe, Belgium, they have an Eco Hero Day. In Istanbul, they have also women leaders for affordable and clean energy. Number 8 is decent work and economic growth. It is very important that if we are talking about decent work and economic growth, we have seen that also there is in Asia Pacific, we have seen this stitching training for underprivileged in Pakistan, in Philippines, women winning, in Jordan, inspiring young women to join workforce project. With a very big project called Tariki, which I was also honored to visit. They bring ministers from women ministers last time, who will talk to and inspire the young girls and make them feel like the role models. They also launched an economic achievement program for women in Jordan. In Europe, in Istanbul, they have the leadership school. In Athens, they have Let's Startup program, and in Georgia, they have women in business. In Cyprus, they have a collective e-shop where they launch platforms that empower women in the rural area by allowing them to conduct business remotely. In Spain, an inclusion program that they have already project to encourage entrepreneurial spirit for women in business. In Malta, they have the Career Day, and it has been very successful, the Career Days, to provide visibility to young girls and boys, 14-year students, that women can achieve the job and role of their dreams, no matter the sector. Latin America, Brazil have employment training project. Africa, Sierra Leone, the ethics for employers, that they are doing for empowering women. SDG number 9, which is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. We can see that in Asia Pacific, Jordan is promoting women empowerment for inclusive and sustainable industrial development. In Europe, Cyprus, collective e-shop, women to organize national conferences. You can see all the huge thing. Number 10 is reduced inequalities. I think all of us are working on reduced inequalities. SDG number 11 is sustainable cities and communities. you can see that many of our are working on the sustainable cities, as you see. This is responsible consumption and production, also sustainability in business by BPW Bakati, and climate action. It's about a student leadership conference, climate change, that has been done in Philippines, sustainability in business by Philippines, life underwater, which is really about a focus. BPW Thailand have a project for rescue of the turtle. It was, and then also life below water. BPW International has been privileged to sign also partnership with the Blue Sea Land to empower women in the sea. Life on land, that is really about empowering women members in all branches. Latin America, Ecuador, they have a project called Huerta Luna in the Galapagos Island, which is a farm that aims to achieve a resilient agriculture and demonstrate the unique challenges facing the Galapagos Islands to achieve a sustainable food system. You can see that our organization really in every single sector. SDG 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institution. We have found that BPW Taiwan have organized a great East Asia Peace Conference Forum. And SDG number 17, which is partnership for the goals. This is really about how all of us partnering with all the institutions and with the UN agencies and with all the ITC, the UN agencies, the WHO, and even partnering with other alliances to have global finance. For instance, like with financial inclusion, we partner with the Global Alliance of Financial Inclusion because it is very important to promote financial inclusion for women. So as you can see that within the whole SDGs, as this webinar is targeting, we are contributing to the global agenda. Each one of us and each member affiliate is contributing to the global agenda of the UN. And it's very important to understand that our great efforts and our great work in all the 17 goals is very much appreciated by all the stakeholders. This publication that I have sent to all of you, and it is an interactive document, which means anybody whose name is not there, they can bring all the project. I just put some hints, but there's a lot of other projects that is already there that it has to be also put within the whole document. Anybody who is present in this webinar and did not have send the projects, please send your projects to be integrated, because this is at the end of the triennium. We will have this publication as an official publication of BPW International that has been the first time in the history, would be archived and could be sent to all our partners at all levels, with ECOSOC, with UN agencies, with ITC, with everybody, to understand the huge work that we are doing at BPW International. It also shows us how proud we are by all our work that we are doing, and that even a simple action on the women in the rural area, or a cross-border women traders, or a young entrepreneur who want to start her enterprise, or a training program that will take for a girl, it all matters. Everything matters when all coming to the top, which is about economic empowerment of women, which is empowering women to realize the SDGs. That is why our very, very crucial theme is really about the global agenda, and is really about connecting us together, coming together, having all of the advocacy pillars addressed, and making sure that we make a difference, making sure that we align with the SDGs, making sure that all of us, as sisters from all over the world, contribute to the global agenda. I'm so happy that I have been here with you. Thank you, President of Nepal, my sister Ambika, for hosting the first webinar of BPW International with the theme of empowering women to achieve the SDGs. And as I always, everybody knows at my last speech, what do I always say? If you want to go fast, you go alone. If we want to go far, we go together. We make sure that all of us, sisters of the world, make construction, not destruction, make building, and make sure that we come together as BPW International Sisters celebrating our 90th anniversary. Happy 90th anniversary. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those words and sharing the projects and information. It's so great to hear about the clubs and BPW, what BPW members are doing for the Sustainable Development Goals. Similarly, women empowerment, talking about women empowerment, our organization has always worked for it. It's the main focus, it's a main goal. So thank you so much for sharing those insights. Now, women empowerment, I think in my idea of women empowerment is about realizing true equality for women and men. So, with more than 50 years of experience, our next speaker has consistently strived for the world of equal opportunities, equal choices, and equal recognition of work of both women and men. I'd like to request an inspiration for the younger generations and the asset to our nation, Ms. Chandni Joshi, for her words.
Thank you very much, Madam President and Chair of this session, respected Ambika Bauju, the young moderators who have been inspiring us, Dr. Amani, I've been very, very impressed with your presentation, very much touched by all the work that you all have been doing in 100 countries. My dear friend Beena, and the distinguished participants from Nepal, out of Kathmandu, and all the other countries of BPW. It is really a pleasure for me today. I want to thank the Federation of Business and Professional Women Nepal for giving me this wonderful opportunity to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for me, and I'm really looking forward. And thank you for making me a part of this celebration of your 90th anniversary. It's a huge achievement. We in Nepal always look at BPW as a pioneer institution who has been showing all the young and of course old like me, gender advocates, to learn and be motivated and inspired by your work. Because BPW was the professional women who guided us in Nepal. So you all are, in Nepali term, when we give, not only importance, but when we respect, we call them Didi. So you have been a Didi organization for all of us Nepali organizations. And thank you for making me a part of this. Now, listening to this very inspiring, I would call it not only a report, but an eye-opener of what BPW really does. And thank you for translating it and putting it into different categories of SDGs. So it's more easy to understand and go through it. And I really loved three things that you talked about. One was the whole concept of procurement. That is one part we always miss out. So I think that is one innovative thing that you all can really claim at and really look at, because what you are trying to do cuts across lots of SDGs itself. So I was wondering, after listening to you, you have gone through each and every SDG, our moderators also tried to tell us what SDGs are. So instead of repeating, I thought I'll go to the politics of SDGs, how SDGs came into existence. So maybe I talk a little bit about history. I was thinking, now let's look at MDGs. MDG was a pride, it was the first time MDG goals were set at a global level where everyone came together and set up an objective that every country wanted to achieve. So it was a lot of achievement, I would also say. And Nepal was also able to achieve many of the goals of MDGs. But it was also a matter of shame to the world itself, globally. None of the countries, not even one country, achieved goal number 3, that was on gender equality. And it was a matter of shame to all of us. So what we see as SDG Goal 5 today came out after a lot of negotiations. Many, dialogues happened, many papers were presented, many heads together, lots of brainstorming sessions, lots of lobbying, strategizing, and came out SDG 5. Now, if we really look at, I'm going to stress on SDG 5, and I'm going to talk about, I'll try to unpack SDG 5 in my talk today. So if we really look at it, these goals that we see, the goals we see is SDG goals are 17, and the targets that were set is 169. And we have come out with very unique indicators, because to measure, to show results, as the president did today, to show we need very firm and unique indicators. So 244 indicators were created to measure what we have been able to achieve. Is it sustainable? Is it going to continue or not? So 193 countries got together, agreed to the goals. And for 3 years, 3 long years, I'm just looking at Nepal's statistics, and I'm looking at since 15, the agreement happened, 16, 17, 18th, and till mid-19, everyone was trying to localize the SDGs. We all tried to see how does it fit in with, one of the moderators also talked about how it has been localized even in our National Development Plan. But still, if we look at the data, we see that the picture is still bleak. In 2015, we see that 21.6% people are still below poverty line, in spite of all the efforts done. And hunger, if you look at it, 36% under 5 children are dwarfs. They did not get the chance to grow up. 10% are malnutritive, and 27% are still underweight. So even if you look at the IMR rates, it's still quite scary. 25 children one out of 25 children dies before the age of 5. That is our IMR rates. And the MMR rates, the maternal mortality rate is 239 mothers die out of 1 lakh live births. So this is quite scary. And if you look at inclusiveness and quality in education also, we see many girls are left behind. And the illiteracy rate still scares me. 29% of adults are illiterate. And out of that, 40% women are literate. So it's quite a lot that we still need to do, in terms of education. And if you look at goal number 5 itself, it's very ambitious. And if you read it, it says achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. It's not just some, it's all. And we also have to look at, different technicalities. It's very important to see that even when we say women, we also have to consider the intersectionality. Even among women, all women are not the same. You can't put oranges and apples in the same basket. Women are different. They are Dalit women who have been victims of violence. There are LGBTQI are there, the tribal women are there, and women who are physically challenged are there. So we can't put all women together. We have to dissect and look at different ways of reaching all of them. And in Nepal also, out of 4 married women, 1 experiences physical violence. That's the national data we have. And the median age of marriage is 17 years. In higher education, there are 7 women for every 10 men. So that also is quite contrary to the international figures that you see. So in this, with this background of SDGs in Nepal, especially looking at the 5 I'm talking about, 1 to 5. I'm talking about poverty, hunger, health, and inclusiveness, and also gender equality. So after COVID-19, the new normal is more scary. If you really look at it, the inequalities have really multiplied. And the fear of the virus, the lockdown, the curfew is immense. And violence against women is on the rise. And there's very less space for reporting at the moment with the lockdown. So, and the suicidal rates are quite scary if you really look at the rising suicidal rates. The last we had was 1800, and that was only the reported ones. There might be so many others, that's not reported yet. And the digital divide is widening. The gap between the have and the have-nots is increasing. So in this scenario, it's very scary in terms of there is negative budget going on. There's loss of jobs, especially in the informal sector where 90% of women are there in the informal sector. So there's a huge risk of more feminization of poverty. And the excluded groups are being more penalized. So we have to look at this, Women engaged and are overburdened by unpaid domestic work as they are in the home situation. They are finishing, they are doing their own work from home, as well as the care burden is fully on them. Though there are rare, some cases of men sharing parenting and housework, but it's very rare. So, though, let me go back and remind you, the principles of the 2030 agenda, that is the SDGs, was leaving no one behind, and the last one first. So to keep that principle, we have to remember the ones who have been left behind. So how do we, what kind of negotiation is needed now? Because the MDG failed. SDGs, the goals are there. It's very ambitious. So what do we do? So we have to take a stand in terms of saying that it's not just goal number 5. Because if you look at gender aspects, it's a cross-cutting issue. Like in your international president's presentation also, she tried to show that gender is everywhere. So we have to look at that, to end poverty. So who is responsible for the informal sector? And especially in Nepal, when we look at the whole scenario, demography, with all the youth gone to, who have migrated and gone to look for jobs outside Nepal. So it was the women who are pulling on with the whole agriculture sector itself. And the food giver, be it at home, the seed saver, the hunger protectors, they have been women. But when it comes to counting and when it comes to giving access to, women are left behind. So that those are things, that we have to very, very concretely think through and plan ahead. And talking about healthy lives, the caregivers and the nurturers are women. And with the health sector not being efficient enough to provide, the services that is needed. So the burden goes on adding on women. And if you really look at it, it's like a vicious circle. So I would suggest that we have to unpack a little bit. And let me unpack goal number 5. Goal number 5, the proposed targets, if we look at it, it talks about to end all forms of discrimination against women, all women, girls, everywhere. We have to look at that. All women everywhere, that's very, very ambitious target. But to end all forms of discrimination. And here, we have to think of this discrimination is not only happening today. It happened yesterday, it happened day before yesterday. Like I always talk about it, sounds like a cliche. I'm the first generation of literate. My mother never got a chance to go to school, neither did her mother. So, we are the first generation of literate, means my mother was discriminated, she didn't get the chance to get educated, so was her mother. So if we look at that, we have to look at affirmative actions. And whenever, there's a talk on quota, even I have heard women arguing that we don't need that. But we have to look at what happened in the past. Or people, it's like a vicious circle. If you don't get a chance to get educated, then you don't get a good job. If you don't get a good job, there's going to be chronic poverty in that family. So the next generation will not get a chance to study again. So this vicious circle, goes on and on. So when we talk about discrimination, we have to analyze it in this aspect. It's very important. And it talks about eliminating all forms of violence against women. And there's so much data on violence against women, I don't have to explain. And eliminate all harmful practices like child marriage, early marriage, forced marriage, like in Nepal, we talk about chaupadi, we talk about, incest, and there are so many things, that's coming up and up. The witches, the old women who are projected as witches and burned alive. So there are so many harmful practices we have to think of. And to recognize and value unpaid care and domestic work. That is one part that is very, very important, because women get so absorbed with the care work that her productive role, gets very much diminished. And she's never at par, when it comes to getting good jobs in terms of her performance. So she's always looked upon the subordinate. So whenever there's a women's program, it's always like, it's a micro program. It becomes mini, it's become small. It can never be big. That's the whole concept, because of the care burden, the unpaid care burden she has to carry. And to ensure a woman's full and effective participation and equal opportunity for leadership. And it's the same story here, that the domestic works take so much of our time. It's not only feeding the children, the house, the family members, it's also feeding the cattle, cleaning the house, cleaning, cooking, all that goes on and on her work. And the universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights is still in debate, and still, women still haven't got that right yet. And undertake reforms to give women equal right to economic resources as well as access to ownership. And when it comes to ownership, we still hear about 1%, 10%, at most, ownership of land property. Though there have been lots of policy changes and tax exemption when it comes to women's name in any kind of trade, but still it's in paper, not in practice itself. So I think it's very important to look at enabling technologies for women, sound policies, and enabling legislation are very important, that one has to look at, when it comes to women. And if we analyze it this way, it's also very, sometimes, you feel very kind of frustrated, because when you talk about policies and legislation, it is there, but it doesn't get enforced. It doesn't get implemented. But we have to make sure that there is promotion of these legislations, there's implementation of these policies, there's enough funds, resources for this to be activated. So these are, some of the things that really needs to be looked at. And gender inequality persists today, everywhere in the world. So the whole question now is, if we really, and violence against women continues to undermine efforts to reach the goals. So within this situation, in this scenario, what can be done? What needs to be done is the question. I think I talked quite a bit negatively in terms of what is still to be done. But it's very important to see it in a different perspective, because we are literally, after COVID-19, we are going backwards because of the pandemic. Everything, joblessness. If you look at the UN statistics or look at ILO statistics, there's loss of jobs, there's negative budgets, and there's going to be a lot of hunger, poverty, and all these very uncertainty is luring so much. And when it comes to gender, whenever there, even when there's disaster, inequalities multiply. So in the same way, when there are bigger negotiations taking place, gender gets backseated. So we have to be very careful. But listening to your presentation today, Madam President's presentation, I was very much happy. I was very happy. I saw the end of the tunnel, that there is hope. There is something that can be done. And with your, 100 with your program in 100 countries, 100 chapters, there's a lot you can really achieve. And, you have a brand name, and leadership really matters. Your president talked about leadership, not walking alone, but walking with all of you together. So there is hope. Institution like yours can make a difference. And if BPW becomes the champion for goal number 5 globally, since tomorrow you have a webinar, you have a press conference, and you're going to be with UN Women, maybe it's the right time to claim with the kind of program you have been running. Why did you claim that you are going to be the champions on this? You are in 100, presence in 100 countries is not a joke. So that commitment can really come. And with the kind of people, like in Nepal, we have examples of people who are in the system. We have seen Ambika Bauzu, Bina Pradhanji, people who are leading it. And so many new faces coming up, new blood coming up into it. So I think it's possible. So I would really challenge BPW internationally and nationally that you all can, with your maturity, with your experiences, with the kind of work, with the brand name you have, you can really do it. And you can really be the challenge, the champions of goal 5. And goal 5, once you say goal 5, it cuts across almost all goals. In Nepal context, only goal 14, that is underwater because it's a landlocked country, that doesn't matter to us, but all the other goals does. And if I have to translate it, into show you the gender aspects of it, I think your program itself has shown what it means. So every goal has gender in it. And in Nepal, we have 51% of women. And almost around the globe, it might be 49, somewhere it might be 50. So 50% of the population are women. And if it is gender equality, we have to look at Planet 50-50. We have to look at the centrality. Until women's equality, women's empowerment and gender equality is in the middle, nothing can be achieved. So I wish you all the best, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. And if there are any questions, I'll be very happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your words. Now, we will be giving 2 minutes time each for the speakers to remark, but due to time limit, we'll be taking only 5 speakers from each region. So do we have anyone who would like to remark according to reason? You may raise your hand. And about the questions, if you have any questions to any of the speakers, I request you to put it in the chat section, because we have 68 in the house, and due to time limit, I don't think we'll be able to address all of them. So please, if we have any remark or question, please let me know. Yes, we have Jo from UK, sure. She wants to share us some details. Please unmute yourself.
Oh, hi, thank you. Helen Swales has been really kind to answer my questions, so I no longer have a question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else? You can raise your hand. You have the raise hand option, or you can also put it in the chat. Angela, do you? Okay.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much to both our speakers this evening, and to Nepal for this wonderful opportunity for us to connect all together. It's a remark, and thank you, of course, but a remark in that the one is the great work that we are doing internationally, but two, as Chandy indicated, there is still a lot of disparity there. And in fact, the remark turns into a question, but if it's okay when that...
Yeah, sure.
do their closing remarks. My thought process is that we have such a disparity now in our society that is showing that, you know, the gap is, although we are making changes, there is generations ahead of us for us to benefit from it. So my question would be, is that should the focus be at the growing learning stages of our new generations? Should we be focusing all our attentions on education at a young age, the growing years of our young children, to change the unconscious bias of the work of the male and the female, of being able to be treated equally, to be earning money equally? If that was to come from a young, nurturing age, would you see that as the key actions that we could be enacting globally, so in terms of education for SDGs, although gender equality is important? I'll stop there, sorry.
Thank you for your question. We will get back to that after the remark session. So if do we have any other remarks? Yes, we have the young international representative, Ms. Nelima Bosnet.
Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to have so many women here who has been a role model to so many other women. So being a young representative, one of the information that I would like to give to everyone here is that the United Nations has started this youth strategy called Youth 2030. It was started in 2018. So it is called Working with and for Young People to policies, so many ways, so many examples. But the thing is that the implementation process is limited. And that's the reason why we need to include the young members in all our projects or all our initiatives. So this is one of the information that you can go to, in the website and see Youth 2030. So if you go under that, a lot of countries can be a part of it. So that's the information I would like to give to everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other remark? If not, let's proceed to the floor.
Can I interject for a minute,
Yeah,
please?
sure. Sure.
Hi, Helen Swells from Business and Professional Women in New Zealand. I'd just like to say that one of the SDGs that I find, even though we're an international and global organisation, thanks to the growth of our organisation through Dr. Amani and our first Vice President, Susan Jones, we find SDG 17 is probably one of the most underrated SDGs that there are, because it's around collaboration and partnership. And we find that when we go to New York and we make a statement, it is actually far more powerful when you collaborate with people like Zonta, Seroptimist, or Graduate Women. There are a number of people, and it's moving that way, that to get your voice heard, they actually look at those partnerships that you make. And it's not only just identifying one of the needs or one of the SDGs, which of course there are 18, thanks to our lovely Dr. Amani, but it is doing that collaboration and that partnership. And we do that really well in New Zealand because we've now been able to get equal pay for equal value work, which has just come in, which is huge for us in New Zealand. So, you know, we would like to encourage other people to continue that fight. But I just wanted to say that SDG 17 is certainly a way to get the political will to see the needs and the well-being of women and girls, and to promote their worth and to get it into legislation. So thank you, that's all I wanted to say. But thank you to both our speakers. I did Google our speaker and did watch one of your TED Talks, which was just really wonderful. So thank you, and thank you, Ambika, and the young women of Nepal for putting this series on.
So I don't think we have any questions yet. If you have any questions, please raise the hand. Today we are We are taking the questions from the chat section, so it would be great if we could, if we could write it there. But I see a raised hand from Dr. Bina Pradhan. So, ma'am, if you could make it short and around 1 minute, it would be great.
Thank you, Vibhasana, and it was really excellent presentation from Dr. Amani and Channi. It was one, very it's very encouraging to hear all the kinds of work that is going on through the BPW International, and the other one is the reality of where are we in the SDG 5 and the sustainable goal. So it's been so long that we've been talking about these gender inequality, and it is still growing more and more. So I'm doing a little bit of research through the BPW on the gender accounting system, and one thing that we have come up with is everything goes around the household. Especially COVID has really proved that household efforts, the micro level efforts are so important. For example, in Nepal, we will have all the socio-economic indicators advanced to such a level, whereas the growth and the macro level growth is really is so low. It's hardly around 3 to 4%, and similarly, agriculture and manufacturing has really gone down. So under the circumstances, but the socio-economic indicators, poverty and everything has gone up. So that is one thing that really comes out, is that the household, the micro level efforts that people are making is very important. And I think, normal should not be the business, the development as usual. But I think you really need to question the kind of approaches, the kind of gender indicators that we are now assuming all the time, that it is with education and employment and access to resources, women would be empowered. But that is not true, because there are so many things going on. Gender-based violence is still persisting. So I really think we need to have a different perspective, a different approach, really going down to the, not leaving anyone behind, means that we really have to go back to the household, and that's where people reside, the elites, the all the disadvantaged, marginalized groups. That's where, and I think we have to approach development in the way that the people are experiencing the kind of problems that people face the day to day, and how they strategize at the household level. So I think we've been saying that from the day one of the women's movement and the status of women study, but then it is still showing that we have not really gone anywhere, and still women's work is still not recognized. The household is not even recognized as an economic unit. So but everything goes is happening at the household level. I think this is one thing that probably BPW International and together with other national chapters can really campaign on how can we change this kind of approach to to gender equality. And I think that's something that we can discuss maybe later also. But something that I've been feeling, that the approach to the kind of development models that we are practicing with, which doesn't even recognize the work of women, which doesn't, and that is the most, and care, with the COVID, we know how important the care work is, and yet it is not even recognized. So these are some of the, the inconsistencies in the development model that we are facing. And I think it's not just going to go away. I think we need to really change our strategies, change our approach to development, and even question the very models of development that is taking place these days. So I think that's something that I just want, this is not a question or anything like that, but please respond, anybody. But something that we've been feeling, that we need to really go back to the households and to really empower people from there, because it is the women who are working, doing the paid and unpaid, and balancing the kinds of two different kinds of work that people are doing. So having said that, it is a comment and something that I've been feeling, and so I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have some questions in the written form, so I'd like to address them, and I'd like to ask each speaker to address them. So first is, every human being in the world has been affected by the current global pandemic. In this context, how can women especially develop their resilience to empower herself? This is from Ms. Lina Gurung. I'd like to read two more questions so that you can give a collective answers. Second one is, we have seen in Canada some of our government officials that we have met with knowledge of SDGs. Dr. Amani, there is a great work being done by BPW members around the world. Has there been any support by other governments on the SDGs as well? Next one is, how do we get to the government to recognize unpaid work, as this affects our lack of funds in our retirement? So this is the first set of questions. To our speakers, whoever would like to go first, please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Okay, I go first, or you go. My sister, you want to go first? Please, if you like.
No, you can go first. Why don't you go first?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for fantastic comments and questions. I will respond first to the comments. Angela from Australia, thank you very much for really tipping the point on a very important issue, with education, and how is really education since the childhood, because this is what we need. It's about education, it's about also changing the whole culture. And I have a strategy that I've already in one of my slides, which is about what I call it the triple S strategy. For changing any culture or promoting any culture, you have to have number S is society, which is family. Democracy starts at home. Non-violence starts at home. Non-discrimination starts at home. So it's really about what we as BPW International in our affiliates do for raising awareness for, as you exactly mentioned, that how do we don't discriminate between a girl and a boy within the home itself, because sometimes the mother is the one who discriminates and the one who says, okay, the boy go to school, the girl stay at home. So this is really about changing the mindset and about the society, starting from family and neighborhood. The second S is the school. We have to have the curriculums within the school that promote gender equality, that promote women economic empowerment, that promote financial independence for women with equal opportunities for both, with no discrimination. So the curriculum also, as BPW International, we have to work on the curriculum. The third S is the state, which is really about how we as BPW International make sure that we work with the states, with the politicians, with the parliamentarians, to make sure that we have the legislation of non-discrimination, we have the legislation of empowering women in education with equal access to girls and boys. So it's really about targeting those, I call it that the strategy of the triple S: state, school, and society. The second issue is really about my sister Helen. Hi Helen, lovely to hear from you. It is very important, the alliances and partnership. It is crucial for changing any law or promoting any law. A success story for BPW Egypt. BPW Egypt is was the chair for Commerce Business Council, where I had the opportunity to address heads of states, and that's how I really changed the whole law of having this government procurement SMEs for 30%. Again, BPW Egypt is a member with the GMAC, which is Gender is My Agenda campaign, which is the African Union Alliance for Women Movements within the African continent, and where we talk to the heads of states, and that's also how I talked to the head of African Union, His Excellency Ramaphosa, the chair of African Union and the president of South Africa, who now made 40% according to what I have said, because BPW Egypt is leading the economic empowerment theme with reference to the whole GMAC, which is Gender is My Agenda campaign. Another really thing is also BPW Egypt is part of the UN Women Coalition for Economic Empowerment. So it's really about, exactly as you said, alliances. We need alliances, we need partnerships to be able to make sure that we address, amplify our voices. And that's why I always say, we go together, we achieve the whole result. So that's why on the level of BPW International, I've been trying to see how we make alliances, how to make sure, for instance, with the Global Alliance for Partnership for Financial Inclusion, because financial inclusion is also a huge opportunity for the women. We are working also, for instance, for simple digital payment solution. What do I mean? Like a rural woman in Nepal, my dear, she can by her phone make transfer to another woman and make trade with her, not only within the country, but across borders. Imagine if a young entrepreneur from Nepal can trade with another woman from New Zealand, only with a final touch. This is a big program that we are working on it, which is about financial inclusion and simple digital payment solution. So this is really about the alliances and the partnership that Helen have touched on. The COVID, the question of COVID and empowering herself. We all know that also BPW International, we have published a huge publication for the BPW International COVID response plans. Within this, you will find how how we make empowerment for women with reference to our 10 advocacy pillars with COVID, how we make sure that she empower herself, we make training sessions, we make business catalog, we make media outreach, we see how we make training programs, educational online. We have within also this publication that it will be also available on the website, the BPW International COVID. We have had a huge efforts from all over the chapters across the world for the empowering women during the COVID. The issue of government and Canada and SDGs, of course, dealing with government is very important. And there is a lot of governments that is partnering with a civil society organization like ours in order to change the laws and for a better for the well-being. And that is why, as we mentioned the first beginning, political will is very important. So we have to create alliances. We have to make sure that our governments is aligning with our advocacy pillars, and we make sure that we address parliamentarians because they are the one who can change the law. One law we are trying now to do is in Egypt is about changing the law for government procurement. We have already 20% for SMEs, but it is not divided between men and women. This is what we are trying to do. So thank you for the questions and the comments.
Thank you so much. Chatni ma'am, would you like to add?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. I think professionally it has been answered, but I'll bring my own point of view in answering the questions. Now, one of the questions was on education. So I also agree that a lot has to be done with the 3S, but it's also a question of mindset. We can't forget that the patriarchal system is so strong in our countries that the norms have been set. Look at the curriculum books. Look at the way we talk. Look at the way we give messages. It's very different, you know? Like boys can't cry, girls can cry. Girls should try. You are a boy, you shouldn't do this. You are a girl, you can't do this. You know, there are so many do's and don'ts. So unless we change all that, and it is not just the school that does it. I think parents have a lot to do, and also peers. The peers also have, you know, there's one very big power structure there that we also have to think. So I think, you know, charity begins at home, definitely, but the school curriculum, the way the teachers training, I think it has to be done at all different levels, because it is a question of mindset. You know, to change mindset, it's changing attitudes as well as behavior. You know, that whole, you need a lot of courage to say, I did it wrong, to correct yourself. Now, the teachers we are talking about who have been brought up, who have been trained in the old patriarchal system, now they have to change. They have to change their language. They have to change their attitude and behavior. So that'll also make a lot of change. And as parents, you know, sharing parents, sharing housework, all that also matters in the child. Just theory doesn't work. You smoke and you tell your child not to smoke, that doesn't work. You have to practice what you preach. So if you walk your talk, then things happen. That is one. And the other, I agree with our friend from New Zealand, that collaboration and partnership is very important. but it is not with only international organization like Zonta and Sir Optimist, you know, because one thing we have to remember is we have lost one huge opportunity of missing the CSW this year, because that was, we were celebrating Beijing plus 25, and we could have really picked up the SDGs in a big way there. So we have already lost it in March. So we have to make up for that also. And this again, you know, I would say the same theory goes, charity begins at home. You know, there are many institutions at home front. So you can start from there and then reach, you know, the regional level, go to global level. So it just doesn't have to be at the global level. And tomorrow, as you know, there's a town hall meeting with the UN Secretary General from 10 to 11 Nepal time tomorrow. So which is open to all civil society because the CSW didn't happen. So maybe you'd like to take this opportunity and just go ahead. That is one. And Dr. Beena Pradhan, you know, her question, and I 100% agree with her that the new normal is going to be very different. We have to. We like it, we don't like it. We have to look at, you know, what has happened, what the pandemic has done, what has been the losses, and how much behind have we come. You know, one has to measure that. And you can't use the same tactics again. So you have to change your strategy, you have to change your tactics. And as you know, leaving no one behind, the last one first means individuals have to be counted, and especially the ones who are left behind. In Nepali, we have a very, I use a word, pasadi pareko hoina, pasadi parieko. That's the phrase I use. They were not left behind, but they were intentionally made to leave behind. You know, they were left. So we have to make those corrections. And unless we make those corrections, we can't come at par. And we can't talk about the development indicators that we have been, you know, following all years. So it has to be a different new normal. And to one of the questions, how can we create resilience? Resilience is something that has to come from within. It's like empowerment. No one can make you resilient. No one can empower you. You know, that transformation has to come from within. It has to be that light has to bati afai bhitra balnu paryo bhayni. You know, unless you light that fire in you, unless that resilience is something that has to come from within. Because what we have seen, even after the earthquake in 2015, we have seen these home-based workers, you know, they were, while their husbands were busy drinking and sleeping, drinking alcohol and sleeping, the women were going back to their houses, trying to see if they can get even some seeds that they can bring back and start their livelihood again. And you saw them, you know, with my own eyes, I have seen them start community kitchen for 600 people for 21 days after the earthquake. And even now there are institutions who are giving hot food for the last 5 months. So resilience is something, you know, that has to come from within. And now how do we get the government to recognize unpaid work? That's a huge debate. So I think a lot of things is required. One is we need data, we need firm data, because it has to be a knowledge-based advocacy. And that lots of, many advocates are needed to literally convince the government. Because whenever it comes to social security, why is there a debate that never comes to an end? You know, that goes on and on. And in goal number 5 also, that is very much there. You know, social norms of how do you create security? How do you keep it safe? Or else it can't be sustainable. It can't be carried on. So I think these are very, it is not I do this or that. All have to be together. It has to be amalgamated. It has to be put together and come in a package. So these would be my answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have
Can I add something, just 1 second, just because when you are talking about the governments and the support of government, one of our advocacy pillars is women on board. And Dr. Shafika from United Arab Emirates is here. United Arab Emirates has put a law for women on board with at least 30% of all government have to be 30%, at least 30% women at the high executive level with reference to women on board. We will also have, we'll be having a webinar on women on board led by BPW France and BPW United Arab Emirates and Sierra Leone, because women on board is an example of how government can do an affirmative action with reference to this advocacy pillar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have the second set of questions. And due to time, I'd like to request the speakers to include their closing speech along with these answers. So first question is, how can we work together in this pandemic to decrease the growing women violence and birth rate day by day? And this is from Miss Ambika Thapa. So next one is, the two issues that consistently come up is policy and regulations to embody the holistic approach, and including those are left behind and not often do not have the time, resource, or the influence to communicate and advocate for their needs. So these needs are assumed, not considered in high-level discussions. What are your thoughts on the concrete ways to negotiate this gap? Yeah, so these are the two questions, and I request our both speakers to come up with their closing speech along with the answers for these questions. Thank you so much.
Please go first this time, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Well, to end violence. Now, ending violence is an outburst of many things. You know, it's not just it's not just anger. It's not just jealousy. You know, the roots of violence, the contours of violence are so many, if you really look at it. And how come your own intimate partner or your husband hurt you? Because if you look at the number of deaths, it's more by intimate partner and your own husband, your spouse. So if you look at these things, it's a very complex issue. It's not you can't prescribe and say, okay, why didn't you take aspirin? It's not that. You have to get to the root causes of violence. Why is it happening? What kind of mindset, The same person who loves you, how can that person be violent? So we need, more research needs to be done on the causes of violence. And we also have to look at, what laws are there. What laws, like the domestic violence laws. It's almost in all the countries. And in Nepal, we also have marital rape law, But how to implement these? How do you unpack it? How do you explain what this law is all about? And for you to, the users have to know how to use the law against, how do you report? How do you go? What happens? The fear, there is a law, but it not being implemented is the problem. There is law on domestic violence, but is it a just law? Does it really work, when it comes to saving the women from violence? So we have to look at these different factors. So my answer would be to Ms. Ambika Thapaji that to end violence, one most important factor is your own self, How strong are you? How strong are you to face it? Are you ready to say no? Can you make that, when husband and wife fight? In Nepal, we say paralko ago. That's what we say. But it's not so, These are not private things. It's not personal. It has to be made public. And I remember in 1998, when I started the whole campaign on violence against women, in Nepal, I remember, they were saying, is violence rape? And I would say, no, there are different kinds of violence. So you have to even explain what kind of violence. Now from there, we have come a long way here, I know, but still a lot needs to be done. And media attention is very much needed. Now you have a very powerful factor. The social media is in your hands. How do you use it? And just the other day, someone was sharing that women who cannot go and report because they are in lockdown, they have learned a sign language. When they are talking in Zoom or talking on the phone, they show a fist saying, I am, my rights are being violated. I'm being beaten. So come and help me. So you have to create that social norms. You have to create that safe space among your friends or your colleagues, or you need those kind of groups to support you along with law and justice, because justice denied is like justice lost. So it's very important for them to get justice there and then. Now the last question you asked me about holistic approach to development, I couldn't understand that properly, but my answer, what I could gather was that women in decision making, I think that was the question, that why aren't women there in decision making? Why does gender never gets a prime kind of priority? So if that is the question, then I would say that more women have to be in decision making positions. So though Nepal is a country where the president is a woman, and there was a time where our Chief Justice as well as the Speaker of the House, all three, judiciary, our administration, the executive, judiciary, and the head of state were all women. Still, we saw that these disparities were still happening. So there is a need for a larger noise, a larger campaign, more people speaking up, more women in decision making. That is very important. Though we have 33% in the parliament, though it's a little less now, but we did have at one time. But what has been the impact? I think it's very important. The right people, women representing women have to be there. People who can voice it, who can say it, have to be there. And I think only then we can make a difference. Because I remember my friends asking me, when the peace accord was signed, Chandni, all the caps were there. Where were the women? You always talk about the women in peacemaking, peace building. So where were they? So these are the questions. And even today, if you look at the newspaper, what happens? You just see the topies, men who, in the uniforms, but where are the women? I asked them, questions like, are they back in the kitchen? Where are they? When they were freedom fighters, when they were fighting, they were there. But when, things settle down, then the women are not there in decision making. I think we have to make a noise. We have to make it a practice, and we have to be very firm, very determined. Only then these things can happen. And again, as this is also supposed to be the closing remarks, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I really feel I learned so much. And I know what a powerful organization existing in 100 countries can be, like you. Hats off to BPW. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I just want to correct a small mistake. I addressed the question saying it was Ms. Ambika Thapa, but right now I came to know it's from Ms. Karuna Ranamagar. So just to correct it. Sure, Dr. Amani Asfar, I'd like to request you.
Thank you very much. It's very important. Doctor said that it is not really about the violence, but the cause, and I call it as the iceberg. When there is an iceberg, if you try to chip the top of the iceberg, you will go to do nothing. You have to melt it from the inside the iceberg. So the root causes of violence should be addressed through the culture and the awareness, as we said, with the whole issue of non-violence status, but also the laws and the enforcement of the laws, because without enforcement of laws, we have nothing. We cannot achieve. So, and also practical solution. Now during COVID, because the question about how during the lockdown there was increase of violence, sharing an exact action that has been done so that the woman can report the case with a code that she can give it to a pharmacy so that her husband or her partner does not know that she's reporting him. So like, for instance, mask. If she says mask to the pharmacy that she's there, so they will know that there has been abuse and there is violence against her. So there is also hotlines that has been done. For instance, in Egypt, here we have a hotline for domestic violences. Of course, shelters for the women, the violence. So also we have to have as an organization the whole, so also to protect her from being, was about the holistic approach of developing that triad of empowerment. It is based on 3 pillars, PPP, personality, policy and projects. So it's about personal empowerment programs, how we empower the women to be able to educate her, to build her capacity, to register her enterprise, to deal with bank, to be financially independent, to be educated. So this is about her personality, personal empowerment programs. Policy, which is the second P, policy advocacy, that's what we are doing, all of us across the whole world as BPW affiliates. We are advocating for policies that will favor women economic empowerment, women social inclusion, all these policies. The third pillar is the P, project development. We all have been doing projects to empower our women. If we have this, the personal empowerment programs, the policy advocacy and project development across the whole of our work, then we will achieve this triad of empowerment, that we can have a holistic approach for development and for women empowerment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amani. Now, as we have a time limit, I'd like to request our President of the Federation of Business and Professional Women Nepal, Ms. Ambika Shrestha, for her vote of thanks and remarks.
Thank you, Avisha, and thank you very much for doing this. First, before I thank everybody, I should thank both of you who are moderators. Thank you, young ladies, for do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for doing this for us. Thank you, young ladies. We need you to do this. Now, I have to say, first of all, thank you to our 2 speakers. Great speakers. And first, I'm very proud that we have on our 90th year of BPW, that we are trying our best. And this is what Amani, our president, has told us about all the SDGs that we've been working on and what BPW worldwide has been doing. So that is there. Of course, Nepal wasn't seen there, but Nepal has done a lot and we are still doing a lot. I think we've been very bad in reporting to you, but we have sent reports. But that is something that we need. The BPW, as everybody else has seen around the world, and our members and our sisters, thank you for attending today. And thank you for taking part and making it also feasible for us to work on it. And the questions and things that came up, the ideas with the SDG, we found out that in the SDG 5, from the talk with Chandini has been saying, Ms. Chandini Joshi has been saying, she was very good in telling what Nepal is facing and what Nepal is doing and what is there that we in Nepal are really needing to do. The SDG 5, which is about women everywhere in the world, what it is, development of women. That, I feel, is the main thing that BPW International and BPW everywhere has to work on. The working on SDG 5 to see how we can develop. Everything comes in that direction. Every little section that comes, we talk about domestic violence, we talk about empowerment, we talk about everything. It is there in this SDG 5, which is the development of women. And it's a big challenge for us in Nepal, that what we do with the women, how we work with the women, how we face the women here and what we do. And so it's a challenge and we need to work on that. And the other thing, that one of the questions that were there about what do you do with a child? How do we change the mindset? And that was one of the best questions, I think one of the questions in changing all the different issues, domestic violence, this, that, the other. It is the mindset of the child, how you bring up the child, what you make that child, a little girl as well as a little boy, what differences we've been making, how we have changed everything. And as I don't know who said that. I think it was Amani or somebody. It is the woman who has been able to, who's been doing that. Because instead of the woman, of the mother saying something to her son to do something, she tells the daughter to do it or to make differences. So all around the world, we need to work on the development from a child, a girl as well as a boy, to change the mindset of people around the world. It's not only in Nepal and not only in developing countries, it's all over the world that the mindset of the male and the female have to work together, and that has to change. So I think that is something that we came up with. The other thing that, well, we've heard so much, it's so good to hear everything. And the other best thing that we heard of, which was from Helen from New Zealand, regarding collaboration. We need to collaborate, yes. And that is what Amani also said. If you're alone, you walk slow. But if you're all together, then you walk ahead. So that is what we need to do. We need to work together with all the other organizations. There are so many organizations that are doing the same thing that we are doing. But we don't know. They don't know what we are doing, and we don't know what they are doing. Let us collaborate together. And if we put our strength together, I think it will be great. So that is how I think we need to work together around the world, that we work in every little place, every little country also, and all around, that we work together with other organizations, and not say, like we are known all over, we are all over the world for 100 countries. We shouldn't say that BPW is this, but we need to work with others also, collaborate, which BPW Nepal has been doing, and we will do further, that we work with other organizations, local organizations, help them and do things together. So that was a good point that came out. And the others, we have laws. In Nepal, we have very good laws. You heard about the 33% we have for every woman in everything, in government, in everything. But what is necessary is the implementation. And that can only happen if we all get together and if we work steadily and see that things are implemented. So I can go on and on. It was great to hear everyone speaking, to hear our president speaking, and to hear Chandani, who has worked with the UN for so long and with the UN Women and with other organizations. So she knows a lot about how to handle all this. So thank you for working, and thank you for giving us the time. And for all our friends and sisters from all over the world, thank you for joining in. I must say thank you. And I wish you all, my sisters around the world, very happy 90 years. And let us go further another 100 years, strong, and not only in 100 countries, but let's cover more, so that we can have more people, more women strong enough to work on different ideas and different things. So I wish you all that, and wish my Nepali sisters all the very best in what we do. We need to work very hard to work and work and work and work, try our level best to help and see how we can better the lives of other people, especially at this present time when we are facing COVID, which is not only for us, it's all around the world. So we all need to work together, find ways of how we could be working and helping. So thank you. Thank you, Amani, for giving us the time and being with us and sharing all your information and all that you do around the world. I wish you all the very best. Thank you, Chandani, for giving the time. And as you see, ladies, she is such a strong person. She's working even with health problems. You see her working and see how fiery she is. So she is a model, a real role model. Thank you very much, Chandani, for giving us the time. And thank you, everybody around the world. Thank you, the two young ladies, for being the moderators. Thank you, and namaste.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
I
you,
hope
ma'am.
today's webinar has given us all some insights to think about. With that, we've come to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for the two speakers for your time and your rewards, and all of you for joining us and actively participating today. Hope to see you all again soon. And once again, happy 90th anniversary.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
And these
thank you.
lovely roses for Ambika and the young moderators. I brought you these lovely roses for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Wow,
much.
thank you for the young ladies. Wow, thank you. Thank you, Amani.
Bye.
Wow, for all the young, especially
I
the young
love you,
girls who've
ladies.
been working hard. And for
Yes.
the president of one of the chapters, Buranil Kanta, Ira, for being so good in helping and doing all this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye
ma'am.
bye. Love
Thank
you
you.
all.
And all the best, Amani.
Thank you, my love. Thank you. Bye bye. Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye bye,
Thank you.
ladies.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Thank you, Maya. Chandani,
bye, everyone.
thank you.
Bye.